I'm going to start in a few minutes. I see people are joining. Thank you for joining this webinar. A quick introduction about myself. My name is Hamed. I'm CEO at Personalize. Today, the topic I chose is about thinking and reasoning power of large language models like ChatGPT. And I look forward to have a conversation with you guys about it. We also shared a link to the Zoom part, which is the streaming on Google Live, LinkedIn Live. So please, you're welcome to join from there as well. I appreciate joining this webinar. I'm going to talk more towards thinking and reasoning power of large language models, which is an area that I believe we need to discuss it more as the biggest kind of bottleneck for us to use large language models in a profound way goes towards thinking and reasoning power of these language models. I'm going to focus on sales people, and the context is that we are seeing a lot that we have different solutions that using AI to generate emails, and we have opinions about those emails. Are they good or not? Can we get to the point that we can fully automate that task of writing emails and communication with customers or potential buyers? So I'm going to talk about it in a few seconds. A bit about us. We are Personalized. We've been developing a no-code studio for designing and running generative AI solutions. What I'm going to talk about hopefully would be something of value, and I'm trying to maintain a lot of concepts and techniques that hopefully give you a good understanding of possibilities and how far we can go with these large language models. And hopefully by the end of this webinar, you have some understanding of some technicals, and at the same time, you have right questions. And if you next time playing with some of these tools and you are interacting with ChatGPT, my hope is I pass along some new ideas of how to approach large language model for different business tasks. And I'm going to slowly start. I see people are still adding, and I appreciate your patience with me. What I'm going to do, I would go a bit into the presentation areas that people can join, because I want to make sure that I have enough time to make a couple of examples, and I want you to give me your questions and see how we can have a productive conversations during this webinar, hopefully adding some value in different aspects in your planning. I would stop here for another few minutes, but that gives me an opportunity to give you the foundation of what I'm going to talk about. We know large language models as a powerful solution that they can write amazingly, but the problem these language models have, there is a comparison of these large language models with the human brain. Interestingly, it is comparable in some ways that it deals with questions and challenges and tasks. In human brain, we have system 1 and system 2. I'm going to talk about in the next slide. But the challenge that is the foundation of this presentation is large language models typically rush into providing the answer to you, and they try to be fast and generate the result for you. And the opportunity and what we need to do is we need to slow down this processing time of a large language model, give them a structure, force them to be slower and take more time before they answer. And there are different techniques we want to talk about it. And as a result of that, the promise is, if based on some research also I can reference, and we have a lot of people currently using these techniques because they are getting strong support from the community, from research side and also business applications, that if we slow down this large language model, the processing phase of the large language models, we have the opportunity that to even outperform human. In a research they did, there are questions with some tricks, like you need to consider some aspects of the question before you answer. And interestingly, if you force large language models to slow down, they can significantly even outperform human in those reasoning assignments. Again, these are simple reasoning tasks, but as you will see, if we put them together, we can start doing complex reasoning and complex task automation. With that, I'm going to start the presentation. I think we are already in a good timing, and we waited for the people to join. With that, I would move to the next slide, which is talking about just a quick comparison of System 1 and System 2. If you heard about Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Thinking Slow and Fast, you see that there are two systems that we are talking when we are talking about the human brains, the way humans approach problems. And System 1 is heuristic, it's intuition based, and it's fast, and we just act fast on it. But a lot of time when it comes to making important decisions, and we are dealing with trade-offs, we are analyzing different situations, we need to switch to System 2, which is more powerful and likely to deliver accurate result. The same kind of comparison or similar way of thinking can go towards large language models. So I'm going to use this as a foundation of the presentation. Go back to the AI generated emails, that topic of one of the key tasks a salesperson does, and we want to see if we can utilize AI, ChatGPT to automate that. And when you look at this like a System 1 and System 2, if you just there's a comparison, kind of we know, especially now with GPT-4, it gets the quality we want. It just, if we provide the pitch, it uses the pitch. If we want to make it concise, it does it well in being concise, no grammatical error. You just change the writing style. It just listens to you and just from formal to informal, add a bit of humor. And if you have some data about a specific person for personalization, it will use it. The challenge, which is the gap, and I think one of the reasons you are here is we feel there is something still missing. We know it can do it, but we don't know how to guide it to do it, which is it uses some information from the business website or LinkedIn and personalize it, but it feels like there are a couple of words put together and the sentence makes well written, but it doesn't fully communicate our expertise and our business values through that. We are talking about relevancy and accuracy when we are talking about quality now. We are not talking about grammatical errors or obvious problems. We are talking about how relevant and useful that message or that content we are generating with AI is for the other side of conversation, or if it's a long copy for the other side of who would read that. And we want to make sure that we need to figure how to address it. And we think about the context of businesses interacting with consumer or other businesses. There is nuances of how we understand those customers and how we are utilizing information. A couple of words, but they see that we know them, we understand them, and we should demonstrate our credibility by showing that we understand, we have that kind of technical understanding, and therefore they would have a higher chance they would consider replying back, engaging with us, or consider a solution. So let's just start doing some of those tasks together. So we want to guide ChatGPT or generate large language models to reason and think. Why? Because we know it can write well, and very likely with GPT 4.5 or 5 coming to the market, it just gets better and better and better. So we are not worried about the writing capabilities. We are in the phase of the evolution of this technology that we want to go deeper and bring that nuances of how human brain, how experts in our company utilize and understand in data and utilize it for different tasks. So one category is prompt engineering. So I think everyone knows that, but there are techniques in prompting that we can utilize to slow down the reasoning process. And once we have enough data, and I'm going to talk about fine-tuning and multi-agent system, which is getting a lot of popularity in the market. There are other aspects, tools, knowledge base, memory, and I just want to put there we can talk about different aspects of building this reasoning engine, but we just focus on the top key kind of approaches for getting there. So the first example I'm going to talk about is instructions. Again, some of I think very likely you've seen this, you've used them, but I want to give you a framework. And the framework, what I mean by that is when you have a task and your plan in a month, in 4 weeks. At the end of that, you want to have a process powered by large language models. And after that point, you are automating things. So I'm repeating these techniques with the mindset that these are your tools. These are your techniques that you can utilize. So one thing is a lot of time we are delegating the task of reasoning and interpretation to large language model. We trust them too much. And the thing is, in some of those domains, and a lot of domains we are dealing with, we need to a bit of have a supervised the kind of the delegation of tasks. We have a domain expertise. We know how to treat different aspects of the problem, and we will need to make sure that the model follow that way of thinking. So it is known as instruction. It should be very elaborate. And the part that I want to highlight is the steps. And it is a very kind of interesting way that you are guiding the model to take steps and for order in a specific order to get to the final task. And in this example, you see I'm asking to understand this company name, which is a variable that will be automatically populated during the running this model. And I want to understand the opportunity. It knows about our technology. Again, this is a hypothetical company. It's not our company, but I'm going to explain that in a live demo. It identified the opportunities. Do we have any chance and any way that we can bring value to this company? And okay, we have this way. Now I want to strategize, okay, how I can bring a compelling reason and then why they should consider our technology. And then I would start focusing on insights and about the person and how I can utilize them. And before going to final task to compose an email, I want to force the model to explain and provide the reasons based on all of those things that it already did before even writing the email. So forcing the model to think aloud is a very key to kind of to get what we want. So actually that is the second technique I wanted to talk about, known as chain of thought prompting, that you guide the model to think aloud. So it's a combination of instructions. So you can provide instruction, make sure that you bring your domain expertise to your design of your LLM solution. And the second part is you're forcing the model to follow your instruction. At the same time, start talking, start explaining, because in their world, that means reasoning and thinking. And before doing any writing. So that kind of slow it down. And I will show you some examples. I chose this snapshot. I'm going to show you some demos. But this is an assessment model. It's an agent that we designed that goes through a long list of questions. And it just assesses the account, the company we are going after. Is it a B2B or B2C? It says it is a B2B. Why? Because they are specialized in AI quality management, and explain to me they are doing some monitoring of learning models, and it seems this is kind of B2B. Do I have any native integration? Give me, so they have few, because the solution I'm proposing to this hypothetical company is building some native integration for this company. I want to know if they have it or not. So the answer is diverse integration options are mentioned, and the exact number is not specified, but it suggests they have a variety of integration options with other software. And I'm talking, okay, what kind of products they are integrating, what kind of data they are syncing in and out. Again, what I want you to see is this is kind of tiny questions that we are asking our brain before even writing a word to that person or preparing for that call or meeting we have with them. These are tiny things we have to fully elaborate to the model as an instruction and in steps, and also force the model to explain it to us. It's a combination of these two methods that we start seeing amazing things. Like you see, these are not typical things that like a junior person can do, but if you guide the model will do amazing things for you. And first of all, the other thing is we have to feed the model with the right information. So altogether, we start to analyzing. This is one piece of the puzzle, which is analysis, and that become a foundation for writing well and writing good quality emails. So sometimes I want to have the model to understand this company from the developers of the company, how they are thinking about integration, how they're from the product perspective. I want to see from their eyes how they are thinking about the AI models they are building, and so on and so forth. It continues with other stories. I want to also see from the eyes of their customers why they need these types of integration, why I'm doing these things, because these are tiny thinking and reasoning pieces that I need to explicitly have them for the next model or the same model to utilize them. That's a bit weird, but the thing kind of it just generates, and it doesn't have another layer of processing. The only way we can get there is to ask it to write it for us, and with very well defined questions. And if you are reading these answers in the context of there is a company that is selling these types of integration platforms, it is a bit of kind of a challenging type of tasks. Before I move the next one, because I wanted to do it later, this company that I'm talking is I will call it Zapier clone, which is like a Zapier, a Zapier competitor, for example. But I find this company, which is a Paragon. I like this one. These are very amazing companies. But essentially, this is the kind of the context, the seller that I'm designing, the AI seller for this company will represent this company. This company has embed integration inside SaaS company software. They integrate with a few days, they connect with everything. And then suddenly their users of their SaaS product, they have native integration with hundreds of products. That's the value. But the thing is, as a salesperson of this company, if I want to reach out to other people, that's kind of what I showed you. I want to know if they're B2B or B2C, what type of integration they have, what kind of data they are dealing, can we help them or not, what kind of the business case and use cases I can talk about, and need to explicitly extract them from raw data from. I need to do that reasoning, and without that, the email would be shallow. I might treat every SaaS company the same, while they are far different from each other. And the last method I'm going to highlight, I think this tree will give you the foundation for doing advanced prompting. And I would suggest to research this area. There are tons of versions of that, and there are examples. There are lots of real practices. But what I'm hoping to pass to you is you're architecting a solution for utilizing LLM for automating tasks or assisting your team. You have to have a methodology, and you need to know these techniques because you can ask for them. So when you are designing an LLM, the question you can ask after this webinar, how it follows our way of thinking and treating the data. Did we do a good job providing those instructions? Does it have the information we typically use to get to that conclusion? Just these are questions we have to provide it. Sometimes the model might be a bit hard to explain things for them. That's where we are using examples. One of the things about these models, they can work without any example. They can quickly grasp the task in hand and deal with it. But they can do better if you provide one example and a couple of examples. So I start kind of getting the idea of how you are writing email this way, and I'm going to follow that, follow you on that. We are working on some self-training, so the more it's right, the better it gets. But essentially, if you have the example is another way of guiding the model to think the way you think, the way you reason, look at pieces of information the way you would look at them, and all together, it starts to build a brain that it didn't write anything yet, but started to what's the foundation of that email will be. Pieces of reasons and thought and explanation, evidences that it is using. So you have all of that started to kind of build that for the next models or to use it later. Once you have a lot of examples, typically the way I think about this system is they're evolving. You might do fine-tuning. So in the future, you might also build your own LLM. There are open source one that people do find they build their own specialized model. But let's say we stick to OpenAI and ChatGPT, and a lot of time that's all what we need to maintain. And once we have a couple of hundreds of examples that, let's say, emails that our sales team wrote and got meetings booked, the way they engage a specific account, and we can start cleaning them and preparing them, and then we build a custom version of GPT-4 that understand our business better than anyone and any other general models, and essentially that kind of gives the promise of the more it tries, the better it gets. Some of them become a few short examples that you added to prompt. Sometimes you even take one step further and just build your own version of GPT-4 it could be no code. The ChatGPT, OpenAI provided that made it very easy now to do it. And still there is nuances, but the thing is it is possible to do it in a very minimum amount of time. I want to make sure that if there is a question, anything, just let me know. And I'm just checking to see if any comments, question coming to the chat. My friend is going to help me identify them. So I'm just going to continue. So the model, you can, what I told you, a lot of time we can do it in one model, and just one step. You provide a long instruction, details, information, everything. And sometimes when we do it, it becomes easily 4, 5, 10 pages of content. And that's the kind of, we are talking about the context we can provide, but it becomes overwhelming a lot of time to get the results we want in one step. There is a technique of chained prompting that you just continue the chat with the same thread that you started. You just follow up with questions, follow up with different details, and provide a task in an order. But essentially, that's the direction that to move point to multi-agent systems. And what it means is what I started to talk to from the beginning is we want to improve accuracy more and more. We want to even outperform human, and we just want to make sure that we have a reasoning engine, because the reasoning engine is what we need to go deep and deep. And so for that reason, so we started the whole conversation. Now I'm talking about multiple agents. This is something that if you look at the market and the research and also the projects and practical things that happen in the market, we are architecting solution into a number of agents that are collaborating, some design, they are chatting with each other, they are discussing the task in hand, and they do it together. What will happen here, we don't provide the information to everyone. Everyone has the right amount of information. Every one of these agents are special. They have the right context. They have a right personality. If you want to think about agents, GPTs you are building, the marketplace on ChatGPT is an interesting example of those agents. The foundation is GPT-4, but the thing is you start to have them specialized. They understand the task to write blog. One of them are very good with the psychology, and they start having pieces that together. Someone is a good researcher and know how to write academic papers. And so these are agents. This is the kind of the concept. In the examples I told you, when we want to write an email, this is kind of the kind of experience behind the scene. You have an agent. Actually, it's not just an agent, because the color is different. It has a tool that has connect with the data and Google the web. So this agent with tool go and Google the web on a specific the company she's working and understand, read the top 10 links around this company to understand news, look at their website, look at their LinkedIn, and get a lot of good understanding of who this company is and where she's working. And maybe even we can Google this person if it's a good big company and there's a chance that they have some personal branding, so we can find it. That becomes an information that moves to the chain. And the next model has access to our knowledge base, knows a lot of examples of how we profile, what kind of ICPs we are selling to, what the pain points, what the pitch we have for different categories. And the responsibility of this model is one thing: look at the data and start reasoning and taking step by step to try to come up with a very elaborate understanding of that customer. The one I showed you is the kind of towards that you ask questions, you ask, tell me this story. We want to know this company from inside out, and we want to get there. And all together, we enable an email writer to not only just use some words, it use some analysis and kind of data points that come from the previous model, so it can go deeper and write kind of the better emails. The final step known as a reflection. So we can even add another model to self-correct and self-reflect on what they generated. This model, thinking about it as a manager, to just check, make sure everything's good. I like it. I have this. This is typically the way we talk. Typically we remove. We don't use these words. We just remove it. We just make it perfect. Why we need to do that? Because we want to sync it to a CRM, and we want to trust the email is ready to go. And that's the beauty of using multiple agents. And each agent is getting better and better. They can even they outperform even human on that specific task because they're specialized. We optimize them over time. What I told you about prompting, things like that, every of these agents, we go as deep as that. And the other thing is we are also optimizing the interaction. So we are now dealing with a number of agents, and we also need to, in our architecture, optimize the interaction, the data flow between them. So, okay, so just I want to go a bit to live examples, and I want to open it for some questions. My hope is kind of just leave you with some ideas that if you want to use large language models, I wouldn't be worried about, can it write these types of reports? Can I create this landing page? Can it write these types of emails? Essentially, we've done it. We have users doing different these use cases. It writes it. It writes whatever you want, but you have to, it's all about the quality. The quality comes from the accuracy of not hallucinating, so those basic things. But when it comes to deeper nuances of serious content, serious email, serious blog, serious landing pages, we need to focus on reasoning and thinking. Actually, this is your soft skill. So what I'm going to point to you is what you do during this journey. You have a lot of soft knowledge and know-hows with the way you think and reason about different projects. You are trying to build a model of that and build that your reasoning engine. And the beauty is the more it reasons, the more it is right that you provide feedback, it just gets better and better. And you're building an unlimited capacity that just get better. I'm going to give you a bit of overview of Personalize, our platform, because I'm going to show some examples. I want to make sure that you can follow me, how we are doing prompts, how do that. What I'm showing you, you can use in any tools. The prompts, everything's, we are using ChatGPT as an engine. So, but my hope is kind of to walk you through some examples. I want to make sure that there is no questions. So there is a question about fine-tune models. From my understanding, the fine-tuning. So the question is, can you go a bit deeper to fine-tune models? From my understanding, the fine-tuning process changes mostly the writing style, tone, format, and etc. But the fine-tuning isn't suitable to teach the model any new information. For that, you need to provide an FAQ or knowledge to retrieve. That's the retrieval providing the knowledge base. So the question ends with this, like, okay, we can fine tune, but the fine tuning just work on the style and voice of brand, nuances of the writing. And when it comes to truly going deep, we need to use real world data. We need to access to our company knowledge base. We need to read them. We need to access to the web and Google and read public data. We need to access to internal tools to read our data we have in CRM. So in that context, what fine-tuning does for our business. The question continue is the reason I'm interested in the fine-tuning capability is that my prompts and instructions are getting so long that they are getting expensive. True, there is a trade-off. The things kind of even when you do prompting. So okay, let's go back here. So we are talking about fine-tuning, and I think Turo, the person who is asking this question, the answer is there. Like, you know the answer, and the answer I'm going to explain it to everyone. Fine tuning just help you for the nuances of how it approach different things. It helps you saving your budget because we are paying per token per word we are consuming and we are generating. And so when it comes very complex instruction and long with fine tuning, which is not recommended for compression, but you can start kind of compression and have a shorter prompts. But the real value is it can start memorizing some of the nuances that is hard to explain in words, but you have to see it. You have to see when I see this type of people, how I get excited, how they trigger them into conversation, how they may help them, how I use humor to my conversation. And you are right, it doesn't do that much there. But the thing is, if I use fine tuning with a training set, which the input is the research data and the output is not some copy, it's a reasoning, the assessment tool I showed you. So the question I have, when I have raw data and I have an assessment and I have 100 of them, and this assessment typically for some companies, they do auditing, they have some data collection, they do interview, they have surveys. So let's say we have that and we have the raw data, and kind of over time, we can start seeing the bigger picture. So we have a model fine-tuned. Again, it's not using any new data, you're right, but they start looking at different pieces of information of the raw data, but it knows how our team, our humans, our experts, they digested that information in the past and started extracting insights or reasons, and discovered this new thing that to use for the next model or the next expert. So think about fine-tuning, not necessarily for generating the final copy, but I'm to have to summarize your answer. It could be part of the solution. And as you said, it doesn't do a lot on things that we need. Fresh data comes from our knowledge base, and we need to retrieve it from it, and also webs, which is I'm going to talk about as tools. ChatGPT, if you remember, it didn't have it. So now you can ask ChatGPT something, it goes and Bing it, go on Bing, research it and bring some results. It can connect with different APIs. So so that's a direction. We have to enable these models with tools, with access to the knowledge base, so they can query our PDFs and files and then get what they want, and then the response. You're right. But the fine tuning, I would that the value I said is towards the kind of optimizing thing that is hard to explain, and typically it goes towards like the nuances of tone and style, but it could be in reasoning. And so if there's a question, please let me know. I'm going to do a bit of live demo. So this actually, as I said, like we have this. You see, we also have talking about the tools. We are talking about a system and knowledge bases. So the agents that are responsible to check internal data sources and bring that in the result with some interpretation and explanation to the conversation with other agents. So these are architecture, I think, that we need to do to focus on the depths of our solutions we are designing. This is the in software I'm going to present the word is run, which is actually the way we are chaining these models together. We put them in the sequence. We call them run in our software. The data is data. We do batch processing, so we might have thousands of contacts. We in the background for when we are running it, we might have tons of agents collaborating, some groups of agents per row, and they are processing and generating results, and massively computationally big. But that's the kind of essential what we do, and that would be a specific need to address. I'm going to show you two examples. I might just show the first one, build a conversation into the question. Let's go through questions when I show you there. Then we have time, we go through the second example. For this example, I'm as you see, I'm using Zapier Clone, the company I showed you. Very close, they have a similarity. This Paragon. Why I'm using a specialized company is I want to show you if you are hired for this company, or if you are in these types of company and you have expertise, how these models can start mimicking your best salespeople and the way they are expert in your domain. Let me show it to you. So let me make sure that there's no questions. And so if I come to this part, so we have the way we do things is combining these two. We create what we call skills, which is agents. These agents have different capacity. One agent is doing assessment, and the other one write based on that assessment an email. So let me show you that, and I'm going to, as you see, it's a huge. There's a prompt here. We give the persona and highlight some special types of expertise that we want to this agent demonstrate during the kind of during the time we are using it. And we provide context about the business, what it's offering. And then we provide the task. These are questions I showed you, and I'm going to talk about it. And also, this is the research data that I'm Googling online and bring 5 top research results back. And the other one will use the LinkedIn data of the person and this assessment that we did about this company. All together, it is going to combine everything and write an email for me. I have some limitations and so forth. Again, my intention is not to go to details, but I just want to give you the framework and just see examples. And if I do that and combine them together here, we can chain them together, and essentially we choose the data that we have. We can choose any range we want, and say, okay, well, I want to just process 10 of them. First, I need to research them. I use my researcher. I use a query. The query is for that specific person, what I'm going to Google online. This agent goes and Google it for me and analyze those information, give me some insights from those sources. And I want to put the research in the research results section. And then I want to get my assessment tool, account assessment agent, and people from outside sales and marketing. When we are talking about potential customers, a company, we are also using the term account, and we have an agent that do account assessment. For this one, we should pass the name of the company and provide the research data that we already have, and it just continue one step at a time. Destination goes to assessment, account assessment, and just continue one step at a time. We choose GPT-4. We change the temperature low because we want to have very logical. We don't want any creativity for that. We add a bit lots of tokens, so it has enough space to write long information, and then we just take one step after another. So if I come here, so I have this model. I use a researcher, research online, figure information fit this model. This model has a list of questions, a checklist. You go through them and start answering them. And the responsibilities model is just that. It doesn't do any email writing, anything. It's a good analyzer. It's a good agent that knows my business and knows how to read information and just start ask a question as an expert. And as you remember, the results from example I showed you, it is very elaborate about how to look at their integration, what kind of data they have, what kind of customers they have, and so on and so forth. I can continue that. I added LinkedIn enrichment to the profile. So, okay, I want to write the email. Now I want you go and read their LinkedIn profile and put it in the LinkedIn summary. And if I come here, now I want to write the email. This is the Zapier clone email writer, and first name, title, company name, LinkedIn summary, and I have two company name. I can merge them two as a one variable, but I have two of them. That's okay. And if I come to account assessment, so what happened here? I did a research. Step one, I had an agent to analyze my research, give me a report, just the task. Then I have another tool, which is also had an embedded LLM. It goes and read public data. We can find out LinkedIn, some through other tools, and come up with something I'm going to show you. And altogether, this model reuses this LinkedIn summary and assessment and name of everything, and it's going to write the email for me, email with assessment data and LinkedIn data. And if I use OpenAI for this one, make it a bit longer, I just put a name, webinar demo. I typically put a version in case I want to just continue the same types of pipelines. I can reuse them later, and I will submit it. So what will happen here, it takes a bit of time to get that ready, but till then, I just walk you through the overview. First, let me look at any question if people have for me, and if I'll do my best to answer. Okay, so everything is in order from questions I have. This is the picture. Please, the details, you can always figure that out. I can share this. These are models, sample models. I can share the codes later, so you can import them and see how I elaborated things. But high level, this is my solution. This is the solution I'm communicating with my peers. This is the way my brain started to see. If I want to break down my brain into smaller agents, I would do it this way. And sometimes this is the same thing coming with the same type of email, but I architecture it differently. But I wouldn't focus there yet. But at the top of the part, I would go read their 5 links. I would try to interpret as an expert representing my company. I want to make sure that I'm selling the right thing to the right person with the right language, with the right technical jargon I need to use, the LinkedIn information I need, and all together I want to write an email. So if I come here, the model is already completed, so I can reuse it later if you want. Now I'm going to show you some results. So this is the table I built for this hypothetical company. SaaS company, CTOs and I need to fast move to because of the email data. I don't want to show it to you because it's for public access to this video. But essentially, these are columns added to the database. So this is the email assessment, the assessment model did for me. This is the research result that AI researcher, advanced researcher returned for me, and LinkedIn summary. And combined, I write this email. I think the email which would be the last column. This is the column of the emails I wrote. This is the company I'm going after. Company raised Series A to F in the last 3 years. CTO as product leaders. They are SaaS. They have AI solutions. So my hypothesis was if I'm running this program and campaign to win accounts in this target, I'm going to reason and try to position our company as a solution for that space. So with that in mind, I'm going to show you one step at a time. So let me go to first I show you the researcher. So this is my brain. So one of the things we have is we want to debug the solution. We want to see how we read the web. This is what the information we read about this company, Course Hero. This is a company, we read their press data. We look at some reviews from other companies talking about advising them why to choose this software. We look at another review site. We looked at some PR kind of publication they have to see what kind of features they're announcing. And also they have a Wikipedia. So we look at the Wikipedia. And essentially this agent just did this job to pass it to my the second model to do account assessment. So the account assessment, if I go there, we can read it together. So these are questions I wanted to ask. Is the B2B or B2C? It says both. Course Hero operates in a B2CB models, primarily serving students and educators. And you see, however, its platform and services could be leveraged in a B2B context, particularly if they partner with educational institution and other businesses in the education sector. That piece is like an example of a reasoning and thinking that we want the model have. It can do it in a somewhere hidden underlying. It should explain it. Once it's there, it did it. It did that reasoning. So it goes on and on, talk about Course Hero developer might struggle to integrate a wide array of educational tools and resources seamlessly to their platform. This could include content management system and plagiarism checkers, collaboration tools, and so on and so forth. So you see, that it's kind of give me a lot of good context. And then I'm going to research that person behind the company I'm going after, maybe the role that person has. I go to read their LinkedIn, and then I'm going to show you the email it generated. So if I go down, I have information about this person who is dealing with the product management. He worked in a Google and Airbnb before, and so on and so forth. It talks about the narrative, the career narrative I can use. It's not a raw data. It's a LLM that we optimize to go give us the different data points we can utilize. Interestingly, it's human readable, but it's not for us. It's for another agent to consume this information for different tasks. Could be writing email, could be writing proposal. Conversation starter, how well would you start the conversation? And that's all we have here. Then, if you remember, I have a couple of examples. This is not a maybe optimized example, but it start to utilize the information I provided and introducing my solution as Zapier Clone could streamline your integration with educational tools, improving both data sync and user management without the overhead. It start pitching my value to this company. There are questions about the details. Actually, that's your choice. But this is what I want to highlight. When you are using some AI tools, you need to be in power of control and optimization. You can't trust a general model to understand reason like you and use it. So that's kind of the details that you can start adding. We have clients that avoid a specific wording, it's with different starts. They want to have a type of humor. They have examples that when they mention the email, people engage. So they want to use cases and stories. And we can build a model that look at the knowledge base. If you have different customers, it find the most relevant use case and use it and pass it to this model to use as a use case during the email and the success you have with similar companies. I would go and wrap up things. This is the company I mentioned, and this is the kind of steps I started to guide the model towards. The thing is, when you are building a system, you need to trust the quality, and the quality is not grammatical error anymore. It's the depth, it's the reasoning power, it's the way it thinks like you or not, and how far we can go. And consistency means it's not for one time. I want to run it for thousands of a similar task. Could be the database of contacts I have, or thousands of landing pages I want to create. I want to have both. And this is kind of the questions, like there's a metric for you to consider when you're designing this type of solutions. And control experimentation, there's no right answer in the beginning. And you experiment and test. It always does a good job of generating email, but the quality of email you generate the first week of building these types of model will be far different once you run it for a couple of months and you start optimizing it. And that's all. Think about this AI system. Focus on reading and reasoning before highlighting anything about writing. That's the area that you have to focus. The writing comes with the perfect kind of format and everything you want. But the thing is, you need to bring your business, like a business point of view, your creativity, and combine with the science of prompting and design this kind of solutions. It optimize over time. And one of the questions I want to leave you with is, in the next year or two, if we get good in reading and reasoning and giving the kind of message that people care about to hear, a lot of people think that the good AI is hard to detect from human, which is very likely that will happen. It's already happening. But the thing is, I would write generated by AI when I know I'm giving value to my user. I'm pitching something they care about to hear. The thing is, we are focusing on removing a different aspect of a kind of using these LLMs, which is like a writing better and like a more like a human. It's more about the quality and relevancy. And if you're mass producing or mass communicating with a large number of customers, I'm not worried about generated by AI. I'm worried about how far and deep we can go in the conversation we have with each individual. Thank you, everyone. I just want to make sure that if there's a questions, I do. The recording would be automatically available after this. And I think we are also recording a Zoom, so we can also send a separate recording. But I can download from LinkedIn, but I can send you a copy of that that you can use and download on your own. I appreciate your time. Any questions you have, please let me know. I will wait for another minute. If there's a question, just ask me. And if you have questions and ideas, anything that you want to test, I would reach out to myself and let me know what you have in mind. Give me some examples. For me, educating and helping community is key at this time of the evolution of LLMs. We have to ask the right question. Myself and my team, we are more than happy to help. Let's get there and yeah, let me see if there's any other question. I think yeah, all good. And thank you very much, everyone. Hope to see you again. And please let me know what parts you like and what parts we can improve and for the next time. Cheers.